transfer to my brain. Let me know you're ready.
I'm ready.
Because I was born knowing nothing about nutrition, except whatever you liked when you was eating. If you got enough of it and it didn't run out before you was full, I considered that good nutrition. And whatever you was eating, if it ran out before you got enough of what you like, I consider that bad nutrition. There was so little information out here when I started searching for something I didn't know what it was. At that time, I was smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day, drinking a fifth of scotch every day, and my top weight was on its way up to 365 pounds. When I would sit, go through my fifth of scotch every day, none of my friends or people close to me called me a nut. When I would light cigarette after cigarette, nobody called me a nut. When my weight kept ballooning, nobody called me a nut. Then one day I went on a fast to protest the war in Vietnam. Guided by one of the most brilliant minds that's ever lived pertaining to health and nutrition. She had deceased, but a brilliant black woman by the name of Dr. Fulton. When I changed my lifestyle, no more smoking, no more drinking, no more weight problem, I was called a nut. All the things I was doing to destroy myself and not know it, nobody ever called me a nut. Just let me say this. People ask me now, you've been fasting 40 years, what does your doctor think? My doctor been dead 30 years. Let me just break down something for you. Hood is something you use to hide something. Good example, the Ku Klux Klan. People that used to raid people at night, which had nothing to do with race, they would put a hood on it. In America, when you get the electric chair of capital punishment, they cannot afford to have the human being that's going to do this sit and look at you, so they put a hood on you. When people go before the flying squad, they put a hood on them around the world. So a hood, as we know it, is used to hide something. So when we refer to the ghetto as a hood, the hood is something we hide. From racism to sexism to the way we've been abused to insanity, and we're not even aware that it's insanity. Until we can destroy the hood, and you do that by purifying and get rid of all the things that make it so ugly you want to hide it. And then when we destroy the hood, the neighborhood, then we move into a community. That's why white folks do not live in a hood. It's a community. Because in a community you control your economy. You control your cops. You control your finances. You control your educational system. That we don't. And so I'm saying all this to get back to a brother that has invested his time and energy. Name for now, what, Jones? Can you hear me?
Say it one more time.
Your last name is what, Doss? At Das?
On the book, it'll be Supreme Understanding.
Supreme Understanding.
Mm-hmm.
That's your name?
Yes. Dr. Das is fine also.
So I'm saying to my friend, Dr. Doss, that never have I, in my world traveling, picked up a book with the love, the kindness, and the information that you have put in this book. Money is not power. Education is not power. Information is power. If I give you bad information, you have bad power. And I thank you for taking the time, the energy, and the effort in the mightiest nation in the world that have never told the masses the truth about how important diet and nutrition. And diet and nutrition is just not eating a pork chop. Diet and nutrition deals with your health. You must remember Hitler was a vegetarian. Dr. Martin Luther King is one of the kindest, nicest human beings that walk this planet. And yet he'd eat the rump out of a cow. So for those of us that think all you have to do is change your diet and don't eat this and don't eat that will make you the ho-ho-ho. I'm sure when Jesus Christ had his last supper, it wasn't just vegetables. And that we can't find nobody that's as kind as this human being. One person with courage is a majority. And I say to you, Doc, this might be the thing that turns it all the way around. Now, it's very interesting in your book where you talk about 13 ways to destroy yourself by supreme understanding. 13 ways. And what hit me with that, so important, it was the 13th Amendment that freed black folks, and in the process of freeing black folks, we freed America. That 13th Amendment. And so, when I look and see the 13 ways to destroy yourself, I thought about the 13th Amendment that said, okay, we're going to stop this, and we're going to go back to the starting line and start all over again. But this time, you won't have shackles around you. This time, what we do to you that's negative, you can have redress. Before you couldn't have that. And then after that, it took years of struggle. So I say to you, my brother, the 13 ways to destroy you. And you know, when you look at this book, I thank you for writing it for me, for the black community, but white folks too. Remember, Muhammad Ali, the greatest fighter that ever lived, the greatest athlete in the history of the world, was shared by the whole world, not just black folks. In this book here, if my grandmother was alive and she didn't understand much, because she dealt with wisdom, not intelligence. And if you look at all the Bibles in the history of the planet, none of them mentions intelligent and smart. It mentions great wisdom. If I could put one label on this book and nothing else, I would name it Great Wisdom. And my grandmother would understand that. And because my grandmother trusts me like millions of other people, I would relate behind her by saying, put this book next to the Bible, and then I wouldn't have to tell her. not even aware that you're eating bad. Read this book. Read it over and over and over. What a blessing I have. It's going through all the hard. I didn't know the stuff I was eating was bad. Why? The Ku Klux Klan didn't give it to me. My mother gave it to me. My father gave it to me. My church gave it to me. My school gave it to me. My state gave it to me. And so today, I just want to say to you, my brother, how much I loved you and the peace. And I have never had something in my hand that every page there's something. Something. Somewhere. Respect your elders. A whole lot about that. I remember one day I was reading the Bible when I was a little boy. It said, honor your mother and father. And I kind of scratched that out and said, if they honorable. If Hitler was my father, his behavior do not beg my honoring him. So as you read, respect your elders. It depends on if you blacken what the elders went through and what they tried to give us. Remember, we come up in a society that said if you were black, you couldn't get married. So we jumped over the broom. Now they want to talk about family values. If a white person taught me how to read or write back in them days, they would kill the white person. And yet there's not a book at Harvard, Yale, MIT, in one library. My 10 children and 12 grandchildren can't read from front to back. It didn't work. So when I looked around at Elijah Muhammad, the great Elijah Muhammad, talking about died was just as important as liberation. Because what good to do you to be liberated if your head's down the path to meet the Grim Reaper? And so I say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And all the folks that work with you for the research, to gather the research. Somewhere. And so we can turn it around. Sometime when I get tired and a little weary, I go out and I find me a nice clear night and look up at the sky and find the Big Dipper and the Milky Way and say, whatever this boy got down here that think he's so bad, he cannot. There is no missile he will ever make that can rearrange the Big Dipper or the Milky Way. And so, my brother, I thank you. And I just say to America and the whole world that I have found something that kind of, when I was a little boy, I lived in Missouri. We didn't have forest fires, but we didn't have TV. But I would hear on the news of forest fires in California, and I would hear them say that the governor would say, if we don't get a shift in the wind, we won't be able to save it. Born 1932, and now we're talking about 2010. When I look back, I never read where a state burnt down, so it means we got a shift in the wind, and the shift in the wind can only come from the universal God force. And I say that to say, when I look at the health of America, particularly African Americans, I say, my God, we need a shift in the wind. And I say to you, Doc, I believe this is the shift in the wind. And I thank you. And I thank you. God bless. Okay, that's it, Doc.
Thank you so much, brother. I've been sitting here nodding like I'm listening to a preacher preach.
Now you have enough there to work with,
I
right?
have more than enough. Thank you so much. I will not change a word. We might just chop it up a little bit, but I will not change anything that you meant to say.
I was looking at something. I guess when we was talking about, I lost the page. We was talking about bad breath.
Bad what?
Bad breath.
Bad breath, right.
Yeah, and when you dealt with that, how was you dealing with gum when you was talking about bad breath?
We talked about how gum weakens the teeth.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Okay. That's all.
Okay. Now there's some other authors in there that might have said, this gum is better than that gum, but in that section with bad breath, they said gum weakens the teeth.
Yeah, and not only that, gum is made from rubber.
Right, they said that in the book. Yes, they did say that.
And when you chew gum, the brain, the greatest chemical plant in the history of the universe is your mouth, your membrane. And it sends a message to the brain to tell it gum is coming down. Rubber. You don't know nothing about no gum. And when it gets down there, the brain is not aware you're not going to swallow it. So you have that heavy acid waiting to
Right.
destroy. If you don't think rubber is powerful, look at a rubber on a truck that hauls products across the country. That's what you send it out. But the other thing is, look at the people that control the world and see how many of them you see chewing gum. You ever seen Queen Elizabeth on the balcony chewing gum? You ever seen the Pope chewing gum? You ever seen the President of the United States chewing gum?
Right.
Now we go around the world, we see prostitutes chewing gum, we see pimps and hustlers chewing gum, prison guards and prison inmates. And so somewhere, I say to you, that's why I took the time. I very seldom touch a book that I haven't read. And the more and more time I don't have to read it, but between the Mooney coming to me with that look he had on his